Good afternoon, everyone. This time I am having a recorded lesson of my input on the discussion about the theories on pop culture. So I hope that you find it. I hope that this video recorded session find it you safe and healthy during this time. So to start now, let me share my screen for a moment. So this time I am going to give my input on the discussion that was being delivered by the first group, I think, about the different theories on pop culture. So now I have here the screen already. So let's start with the discussion about the theories on pop culture. So, what comes to your mind when you hear the word theory? So, I think the word theory was no longer new to you. No, you have been into this word several times in your educational journey. So, since you are in high school until such time you are now in college, you have encountered the word theory. So, when you hear the word theory, no, there are a lot of questions, no, that gathered in your mind. This theory might be used in a science subject, or if you are asking for the evidences of a certain event, you are theorizing. No, you have your assumption, you have your guess probably. That would be your thought on theories. So a theory is uh, a principle that have been not uh, proven as true in a scientific study. But a theory could be a basis of a certain explanation of a certain phenomena. So now what's the difference between law and theory? No? The law that we are talking about here are also called principles that has been proven scientifically, or it was been proven to different scenario and accepted universally. That is law. No, a theory is might be true to a certain point, but in other side or in other point, it might not be true to them. So, but a theory is a good foundation of an explanation of a certain event, a certain phenomena, or a certain idea. So now, when we say law, for example, laws of learning. So when we say laws of learning, these have been proven by certain experts, scientists, that it is been claimed true to all or universally accepted. So a theory is just a guide for a certain idea or explanation. So this time we're going to talk about theories on pop culture. So before we proceed to theories on pop culture, so it is important no, for you to finish the entire session, to finish the entire video presentation. Because at the end of this video presentation or the recorded session, there will be an activity or a task that will be posted in the portal or in our LMS. There you will know how are you going to answer the task. So it is very integral, important to finish the video presentation or the recorded session in order for you to be guided on how to answer the task that will be given in the latter part. So let's start with the different theories being presented. No? Although it was being presented by the first present by the first group or the first presenters. So here are the three theories, excuse me, that had been discussed. No, so this time I will give my input, no, to elaborate more giving example to enlighten our minds about these different theories, because this following theories might not be familiar with you, no. uh, so this would really help you to understand things about the different theories of pop culture. So there are three theories being presented. We have the structuralism, the post-structuralism, and the Marxism. So I think we need to start with the structuralism. So if you try to look at the slides, there is a puzzle there. No, a human mind, a human head, which is being assembled. No, so after, if it will be assembled into a single piece, so it might have an idea or a concept that this is a head of a human being. This might be a picture or a structure of a certain mind or a head of a human being. So I think it is associated with the theory of structuralism. So the structuralism started. It began in linguistics with the work of Ferdinand de Saussure. I think I hope that I pronounce it correctly. No, so it structuralism comes from the idea or the concept of language. No, so Ferdinand de Saussure, an intellectual movement in France in the 1950s to 60s that studied the underlying structures in cultural products. So our culture, the culture of a certain society may be created because of its structure, because of its language. Now, if you try to remember or recall about the statement about language, no, we have discussed that one because that is part of what we call the non-material culture. That language is the roadmap to culture. A certain culture, a certain practices of a certain country or a certain nation might be practiced or might be used by people there if that language are still in there, no? Such as excuse me, such as text, no? And this text or word that being used are analytical concepts from linguistics, psychology, anthropology, and other fields to interpret those structures. So the word that you might be seeing, a word, no? A certain word that you might be seeing can be analyzed, conceptualized, depending on its interpretation. It is an approach to human sciences that attempts to analyze a specific field as a complex system of interrelated parts. So if you're going back to the slide or this picture, there is what we call interrelated parts. So I think there are four parts there in order they are all interrelated for them to conceptualize a certain picture that will give us the message. When these four parts are being integrated, it will give us an idea that the picture will tell us that this is a human mind or human head. So structuralism is all about science that attempts to give us an analysis on a specific field. So the belief that phenomena of human life are not intelligible except through their interrelation. So every word, every movement, every culture, every practices that we had in our society becomes interrelated. No, our human activities are all interrelated. It looks at the relationship between elements and is concerned with underlying structure, not just a surface of reality. So it is not just a narrow, so we go into deep understanding of these interrelated concepts. Structuralism possesses the concept of binary opposition, in which frequently use pairs of opposite but related words. So it's all about linguistics. These words becomes a concept. No? Interrelated words are often arranged in hierarchy. Example, there is a structure about our gender. If you are a male, female, speech, writing, rational, emotional, signified, signifier, symbolic, imaginary. Therefore, these are two position, binary opposition, which have frequently used pairs in order to create a certain concept. So, for example, male and female, these are two binary opposition. No? Rational, when I say rational, it's all about thinking. Emotional, it's all about emotions. No? So here is illustration. You know, we have here an illustration of two illustration. We have tree, picture of a tree, and the word of tree. No? So when you observe the picture, of the tree, of course, if there is a concept now beyond your mind that this is a tree. No? While when you see the word with a letter composed of TREE, no, it becomes a word tree, a picture of a tree, and a pronunciation of a tree. So that's the signifier. Signify meaning a concept. No, it is just a picture. It becomes a concept that is a tree. But when we see the word with the letter TREE, it becomes a word tree. And that would be the time that it will be conceptualized in your mind that there is a picture of a tree. And the pronunciation of the word. We need to pronounce it tree in order to conceptualize a picture of a tree. So that's structuralism. It is the same with culture. No? It is the same with culture. The culture comes from the language. No? That is why we say that language is the roadmap to culture. Structuralism as an intellectual trend, according to Alison Asseter. Number one, the structure is what determines the position of each element of the whole. No? Meaning to say, before it will be created as one, as a whole concept, it is composed of different parts. No? Structuralists believe that every system has a structure. No? When they say structure, it is, for example, the human body, there is a structure. We are composed of different parts. Structuralists are interested in structural laws that deal with coexistence rather than changes. Structures are the real things that lie in beneath the surface or the appearance of meaning. So let's integrate structuralism and pop culture this time. So proposes that one may understand human culture by means of structure that mediates between the two, meaning meaning is produced and reproduced within a culture through the various practices, phenomena, and activities which serve as system of signification. Clouds Levi-Strauss binary opposition. So going back, no. So the structuralism proposes that one may understand a certain human culture if these are being structured, meaning plastar na siya, dili na siya mabungkag, no? Structured na, meaning to say, pag abot nimo, pag when you are there already, that culture already exists. Okay? So let's have now the post-structuralism. The post-structuralism, it emerged also in France during the 1960s as a critiquing movement of structuralism. It rejects the structuralist idea or notion that the dominant word in a pair is dependent on the subservient counterpart, and instead argues that founding knowledge either on pure experience of phenomenology or systematic structure is impossible because history and culture condition the study of underlying structures, and these are subject to biases and misinterpretation. So the post-structuralism is contrary, or it is uh, a critic of the structuralism. So they do not believe that the structure needs to have the dominant word in pair so that it is dependent in subservient counterpart. But according to them, in the post-structuralism, culture condition, the study of underlying structures, and these are subject to bias interpretation. So there might be a misinterpretation of a certain knowledge or idea because of its structure. To continue, it also argues that to understand an object, no, a text. It is necessary to study both the object itself and the system of knowledge that produced the object. So earlier in the structuralism, you can see, no, there is an object, the picture of the tree, and there is a word. No, but in the post-structuralism, there is both need. There is a need to study both the object itself and the system of knowledge that produced the object. It argues that because history and culture condition the study of underlying structures, both are subject to biases and misinterpretation. Probably when you read the word tree, there might be any other interpretation, no, in the mind of a certain individual, and the picture in their mind of the word tree has a different display of picture in their mind of the word tree. So it's the same with culture, no? Probably this culture, the practice of this culture is not the same practice in other place because it might have a misinterpretation of the structure. It is the study of how knowledge is produced. No? So in the post-structuralism, the knowledge is being produced not only on the structure, no, but it is an understanding of the object or a simple text. So this time we're going to have a differentiation of structuralism and post-structuralism. Structuralism, it is literary theory, so it's all about the 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 text itself. But in the post-structuralism, it is response to structuralism. Going back to structuralism, it can be related with text and make study of text. System of recurrent patterns and motifs study that underlying the structure. But in a post-structuralism, the rejection of self-sufficiency of the structure. So they do not only rely on the structure, no, or on the certain text. There is an understanding of both object and the text, and the understanding of knowledge. Closely relates to postmodernism, argues that study of underlying structure is reason of bias and misinterpretation. Study must be done on base of knowledge. So that's all about the two, the structuralism and post-structuralism. Now we have the Marxism. So I think you're very familiar with Karl Marx, no? Marxism, uh, it was the proponent of Marxism, of course, it was Karl Marx, no? Worldview and method of societal analysis that focuses on class relation and societal conflict, that uses a materialist interpretation of historical development and a dialectical view of social transformation. So Marxism is inspired by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the late 19th century. So class struggle between the bourgeoisie or the capitalist and the proletariat or yung mga tinatawag nating mga manggagawa, no? The bourgeoisie or the capitalist, no? This is during the time of capitalism was the main economic system in that time in the 19th century, 18th century, no? Capitalism and the proletarianism, the result of social revolution. So according to Karl Marx in Marxism and pop culture, if you try to look at this picture tell us that those who are in the top are being appreciated. No? So cultural Marxism refers to a form of anti-capitalist. When you say capitalist, this is an economic system where those investors, those who have the capital, those who have the money, have to invest their wealth. No, if you don't have the investors are being on the top. No, so anti-capitalist cultural critic, which specifically targets those aspects of culture that are seen as profit-driven. So when you are a capitalist, no, it is all about profit. We are not concerned of the people who are working with you. These are the working class. So this is the argument of Karl Marx, no? The bourgeoisie or yung mga negosyante, they have take advantage of ordinary working class people. Popular cultures, the amusement and lifestyles of working class, while highbrow culture in terms of those who are wealthier leisure classes. So distinction of pop culture during this time. So produced by the working class are the folk art, tales, and music. So when you say the working class, ito yung mga manggagawa, no? Produced for the working class are also commercial television, film, and advertising. It enhances the value of status of a former as being authentic and expression of mass creativity. The depreciation of the latter as being mechanism of cultural pacification and denomination. It also, okay, so that's for the Marxism. So I think this is the end of the presentation. So the activity will be all about discussing the three, what do you call this one? The three theories, no, and pop culture. So this time you're going to have your reaction, no, reaction on the structuralism, the post-structuralism, and the Marxism. So this will be posted in your LMS. So you're going to create a reaction paper. But before you can write the reaction paper of these three theories on pop culture, so this will be the guide in order for you to have the idea on what to do with this reaction paper. So just give me a little time before that. Okay, so just give me a little time for me to prepare the criteria on writing the reaction paper. So you might be visiting the LMS. There, it will be posted. The assessment will be posted, and this will help you as your guide in writing the reaction paper. Okay, so I already have here the criteria of reflection or the reaction paper. So we will be integrating research-based activity here. I know that you are very familiar with research, no? So we are going to have the study of different literature, related literature of these different theories, no? The theories on pop culture. So what you are going to do is you need to read different articles, readings, and internet sources about structuralism, post-structuralism, and of course Marxism. Just a moment, no? I'm still waiting for the format to be loaded. There you have it for a while. So let me share my screen for a moment so that you can see the format on what to do. Sharing my screen. Okay, so there you have it. So I hope the screen is already available. So this is our criteria in reviewing your work, no, as a student. So criteria in reviewing students' work, criteria in writing a reaction or reflection paper. So I need to adjust this one. I think the reaction paper must be 2 to 3 pages. So you will going to write your reflection or reaction. You're going to encode that one in the Microsoft Word and attach your output on the posted assessment in our LMS. So what you're going to do is to create a reaction or a reflection paper. So this will serve as your guide or the criteria, no, or the rubrics in order for you to obtain a good grades, no. So to obtain good grades in this output, students are expected to provide the following. Number one, a well-structured essay based on the assigned relevant literature. So there are three relevant topics or texts or literature here: the post-structuralism, the structuralism, and of course, the Marxism. So you are going to research online, no, because you cannot, still we are not allowing students to visit our learning resource center. So of course, you will use the internet as your source, no? So you will have a structured, well-structured essay based on an assigned topics. Number two, evidence should be gathered. So evidence of an appreciation of the key issues. The key issues are the three topics: the structuralism, the post-structuralism, and of course the Marxism. So in order for you to gather evidences, you need to read different articles and literature and in-depth thinking about those issues. Number three, development of students' own personal perspectives and insights. So this time you will give your own personal understanding, your personal perspective, ang sarili mong mga pananaw tungkol sa teoryang nabasa, or your insight, but you need to cite specific reference or specific literature or example. So in this part, you're going to cite a concrete example or situation of the different theory discussed, which should be supported by readings from the books, because we don't have the books, so we can have sources from the internet. So how are you going to write that one in your reaction paper? Of course, you will base that one to a certain literature or an author, no? So probably according to example like this, according to Bates, 1998, he believed that in his study that structuralism has a great impact to the certain culture in our certain society. That's example only, no? Then number four, you need to have an accurate references. So references means your source, no? The bibliography. And of course, we need to consider the grammatical structures. No, we are talking about structuralism here. Now, and of course, the manuscript. Now, when we talk about manuscript, this is the paper. No, another term for paper is manuscript, a research output. The manuscript should be at least two to three, at least 2 to 3 pages. No, that the 2 to 3 pages with a space of 1.5, and a font size is 12. Font size is 12, and the font style, it does not matter. You have the freedom to choose the font style. So the spacing is 1.5 so that it will not make it difficult for me to read your output. So here is now the format. So 1 to 5 are the criteria, no, your basis, your guide in order to write your reflection paper. So here is the format of the reflection or the reaction paper. Of course, the title must be indicated. The title is the theories on pop culture. Okay, there you have it. You write your introduction. You all know what is an introduction. You need to introduce the topic, the three theories. And the second one, you are going to cite your literature, the summary of the text, the literature of the three theories. So that's number one. No? And number two, no, here, your in-depth understanding of the issues. So number one is all about the essay based on the assigned relevant issues. So that is for the introduction. But for number two, I think it is related for the Roman numeral number two. You will discuss in-depth discussion using the literature or your research out product. The number three is your reaction there. So number three, it is your own personal perspectives because it is a reflection or reaction. No? Let's have this analogy. No, when you are looking in a certain mirror. Now, when you are in a, when you are in a mirror, you are seeing your reflection, and that is yourself. Therefore, that's a personal reflection. Okay, pag mo tan-aw ka sa samin, imo man ang naong amo gawas. Meaning to say, that's a personal perspective or personal reflection. But you need to support that one with readings and related literature. So now your claims must be supported with related literature. No, why we have this kind of activity, integration of a research-based activity? Because I think you have your experience that this one in your senior high school years. But when you are in college, no, especially when you become a third year student, now you will be enrolled into research. So if most of your subjects or subjects in most of your subjects that you are enrolled, if the assessment or the task that they are given to you are all in research integrated as assessment or outputs, no, it will really help you to write a manuscript, no, in your thesis writing, no, because you are already exposed to this kind of activity. No? Most of the problem of the students when they were enrolled there in third year and enrolled in the subject research, they have the difficulty in making research paper, especially in looking for related literature. And number four is your conclusion or decision. So, what is your conclusion about the three theories that being presented? And references are what we call the bibliography. So, bibliography. So, you're using the standard bibliography, no? I think your English teacher taught you on how to make bibliography. We're using the APA format, no? So, so if you have some questions, no, I think that's all. No, I hope you find it easy. No, I know you might be adjusting to this kind of activity because this is a research integrated activity or task. No? So again, these are the criteria and this is the format. I'll be also sharing this one to the assessment tasks to be posted. No, this is a performance task to be posted. No, uh, in your LMS or in your portal. So you start this one off, you can have a lot of time because I'll be giving at least 2 weeks or at least 2 weeks for you to answer or to make this assessment. No, usually, but if it is a task, no, it is only 5 to 7 days. So that is our standard protocol. But because I think it is a tasky activity, so I will be extending the deadline for this activity. So just wait for this one to be posted in your LMS, and of course, you do your task, no? According to your convenient, most convenient time. So that's I think that's all for this time. No, thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have learned something from the presentation. I know already that you have learned from your classmates from the first group. No, I would like also to extend my gratitude for the first group in giving their insights and an explanation in the discussion the topics of tourism and culture. So we can find it more challenging, no, on this topic, no, the different theories and pop culture. Okay, so I think that's all for this time. Thank you so much, and keep safe, everyone, and God bless us all. Thank you, and have a nice day.